riding home from court that day. It happened to be a beautiful day, late October. You know, you're in a bus with a bunch of other people who've had either great days at court or bad days at court. And it was 80 degrees. We're driving from downtown Nashville out to the Harding Place jail. For some reason, it was just like, it was the most peaceful. It was the most peaceful. I'd be like, okay, you're going to get another shot at life.
Hey, and welcome to a new episode of Breaking Down Addiction, a podcast by national addiction specialists. I'm your host, Johnny Phillip. Glad to be here today. We have a very special guest, Mr. Darren Hobbs. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. We've gotten to know each other loosely over the years, and I can't even remember where we met, which that's not important at all. But I'm so excited to hear about all the things you have going on because we were talking in the lobby. You and we could talk for hours, it seems.
Probably.
And you have a lot going on, and you're doing so much to serve the recovery community here and beyond, it sounds like. So I'm excited to get into all that and some of your background and
Sure.
any of your story that you'd like to share. But I always like to start these off with the same question, and that is, if you were sitting across from yourself in active addiction, let's call it your darkest, deepest bottom that you're at, and if you can talk to yourself during that period, what would you say?
Man, when you said your deepest, darkest bottom, I just got a snapshot of me laying across a bunk, A-pod bunk 63, Davidson County Jail. There's a small window that I could look outside, and I could see the planes either coming or going for B&A. But at this point, I was looking at 20 years in prison due to drug charges.
Holy shit.
And I'm laying there crying, and I have this thought, like, I'm acting like I'm praying, but I'm really just, I've got my shirt up over my head crying. Crying in jail is not popular, might make you look weak. So as I sit there, and I just have this thought, like, I think I'm out of tears, and like, I know I'm at that perfect point that some of us are so lucky to get to, of just complete despair and surrender. Like, all of my treatment experiences prior to that, I'd had every opportunity to get sober and sane and healthy, and they've been just red carpeted at my feet, and I never took advantage of them. So it was like, you said that, and I'm watching myself like have this moment where I go, well, I'm down here, maybe I should just pray while I'm down here. And that was the first honest prayer that I ever said. And instead of saying like, hey, God, if you get me out of this one, I'll promise, I'll do,
You meant it this time.
I meant it. And what I said was, God, I know you can't change these walls. I know you can't change the noise. I know you can't change my outfit, but please change me. Please come into my life and change me so that whenever they let me out, I'm not the same sorry bastard that walked in. And I meant it. And from that day to even today, the number of miracles that have happened in my life because I made that submission. I submitted to the process in my own goofy way. That's the moment that I go back to. Like,
I'm actually imagining you too in that scenario.
Yeah, and I don't even think I answered your question correctly because I think I ADD squirreled into it. But like, when you said, what would I say to myself in my lowest moment? From here to there, I would say, you had no idea how creative God can be. Like, I had to, like, dude, just stay a student like you are right now in this humble position and keep asking God to come into your life. That's, if I could give that guy that message, that's what I'd tell him.
No, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And do you think that you were a shitty student before that arrest?
Absolutely. I was an entitled, snotty, me first, world spins, on the axis of my finger.
You're the center of the universe.
I'm the center of the universe. I need what I need, and if you get in my way, I cut you out. I will lie, I will steal, I will threaten, I'll manipulate, I'll do whatever as long as I'm entitled to, as long as I'm able to get what I need. And what I needed in particular for the previous 15 years was cocaine and alcohol.
So that was a 15-year run you were on it, but leading up to 2010 arrest?
Leading up to 2010, yeah.
Well,
the only times of sobriety were jail time or in treatment.
Okay. What, if you don't mind me asking, what led to that arrest in 2010?
So I was just minding my business, selling drugs on Broadway, running a little bar.
Minding your business.
I was minding my own business, man. And my thought was, my criminal genius was, the bar that I'm running is so close to the police precinct downtown, like right next to Bridgestone. The bar I'm running is so close, they would never think to look for me here. Right?
You're hidden in plain view.
Hidden in plain sight. Like
Yeah.
I'm like a sniper in a ghillie suit.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're never going to know I'm here.
Kind of liked that theory.
It worked until it didn't, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And my branding was, I had one side of the street. I had another guy that worked kind of the Tootsie side of the road. And, you know, certain weights went into bags with bulldogs on them. And then the bigger ones were Batmen. And so the Batmen were more popular. The Batmen, little 1x1 baggies. And so I go to, it's a regular Thursday afternoon. It's 5 o'clock. There's this nice man and lady having a Coke and a cigar, telling me they're from St. Louis. And then there's two ladies come in, and I'm doing some, you know, bartender tricks, thinking I'm, you know, Tom Cruise and cocktail, you know, making the glasses all pretty. And I get a text. I walk outside my bar and I go do a quick handoff drug deal. And as I come back, I hear, "Metro detectives, put your hands in the air." And I look around like, wonder who's getting arrested in here. It was me. And so next thing I know, I'm on my back.
Oh my gosh.
And so this nice man and lady now had badges out from under their shirts.
Whoa.
They were the Metro detectives who had made that announcement. And then, you know, I'm on my back, and then I see this third face kind of bend over. "We've been listening to you. We've been watching you." And I look at this dude, and sure enough, this guy had been in my bar clocking me for about 3 weeks. He looked very familiar.
Oh my gosh.
And so they got me, man. I was, they had a bunch of sale and delivery charges, possession with intent, all kinds of stuff. And they charged me in a school zone. I was close enough to be charged in a school zone, even though it was, you know, after school hours, whatever. But that was, I was looking at a murder charge pretty much, because I had already been in trouble with the law prior to that.
And they had the sting on you going for quite some time. So
Right.
It sounds like to me they wanted to pin what they like, so they really could make a point.
Yeah, they
on
said,
getting
I heard
you
them
and
say,
keeping you off the street.
I heard them, they said, "We've got him. We've got Batman."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I was actually imagining you bartending at Tootsie's and going to do this drug handoff. And so, like, once all this goes down and you go to jail and you're facing these big charges, how long are you in jail at this point? Until you get out, and what happened there?
So I asked the police officer that was kind enough to give me a ride to jail. I was like, "What's bond usually like on something like this?" And he's like, "Man, a couple $1,000, $3,000. I'm like, "All right, cool.
I can handle that. Yeah.
I can handle that. Great. I'll be back at work in an hour. This is great." And then in the time between him telling me that and me actually seeing the magistrate, they tell me that my bond is $187,000.
It's quite different than a couple grand.
Yeah, and I did not, and that comes along with a source hearing. So you got to show, like, tax returns. Number one, I was a very bad bankroll manager while selling drugs, so I didn't have $18,000 anyway. But there's no way I could have made it. So there's no way I could have made that bond.
So you knew you were sitting.
I knew I was sitting, and I knew my parents weren't going to go for it. Well, I guess they weren't going to go for it, but they had enabled me. I had manipulated them a long time.
Were they tired of your behavior leading up to this point too, or
They were I think they were so removed. Like, I think they were relieved that they didn't know how bad I had gotten. I did a really good job of, telling stories and siloing off the truth about how ugly my life really was.
Yeah. Yeah. You were selling them a different version of yourself.
Yeah. I was, I had the image that that everything's great. I'm working as a waiter in a bar, in a sports bar downtown. Everything's okay. I'm living in a property that they own, rent free. I've got I've carved out a really sweet existence, for
Yeah,
myself.
at that point, it sounds like it.
Yeah. And my mom and dad did something for me that saved my life. They told me, my mom, who was my chief enabler, my best friend, like enmeshed all the way. I think it is the only way to say it. I was her only child, and she was attached to me being okay. She needed to know that I was okay, And I taught her by manipulating her that if I didn't get what I needed, I wouldn't be okay,
Right.
I held her hostage. And she did the thing for me that saved my life. She said, I'll always love you, but I don't like you. And I can't take your drama anymore. You're dead to me. Don't call me.
Wow.
And then she hung up the phone, and I kept calling and calling and calling.
What did you feel like in that point? Because I'm really close to my mom, and I fucked up a lot too, and I did get myself into some things. What did you feel when she hung up and told you that? And this is your biggest champion and cheerleader at this point.
To hear her say that hurt, and I started to realize how hurt I may have made her. That took a while to really land and saturate, my heart. But as I kept calling, and the phone, this is, back in the day, they had phones, you could take it off the hook. I kept getting the off the hook noise, like she meant it. There was no way for me to call. And so she saved my life by my plan was, you guys bond me out. I go back to tending bars and
doing the same shit.
Doing the same shit.
Yeah.
And, I'll get probation and that'll be okay. That was the preferred outcome that I had come up with.
Mm-hmm.
But they told me no. They told me no, and they stuck with it. And my dad at one point, right before my mom had told me that, my dad had told me that I could call him in a month. To call him, just call me on a Sunday. Give me a month, and I'll talk to you for as long as you're positive. But I can't handle your bullshit. And so I did. I waited. After I called and nobody picked up. And sure enough, I waited a month later, and my dad answered, just like he said he would. And I went negative on the call, and he hung up. He said, "Let's try again next month. Be positive." He hung up on me, and I was like, "Holy shit, this dude means business."
They're holding a hard line.
Holding a hard line.
Yeah.
And I got the night I was just telling you about where I was praying. Sometime between my parents telling me that and the first couple weeks that I was there, first week or so I was there, and like I had this delusion that all of my friends must be so concerned for me, and there must be so much mail. Where's all the concern for me,
Yeah.
And so mail call comes. This is what led to me hitting my knees. Mail call comes, one more time, and the CO doesn't call my name because I have no mail. And I was like, "Hey, man, I think something's wrong with my mail. I'm not getting any."
Yeah.
And he just kind of giggled at me. He's like, "Man, nobody gives a fuck about you." And I was like, "Whoa, he's right."
Did that realization hit you like a ton of bricks?
That realization, like I'm alone. I'm alone by my own making. I'd burnt my bridges, And so I go back and I say the prayer that I just told you about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Magically. A couple days later, I get a letter. It's from my dad. And it's really short. It's written in his like old school draft, engineer handwriting, like real blocked out. "We've tried to help you for 15 fucking years. Maybe God can help you now." And it's the only time my father has ever mentioned
The G word.
the G word. Exactly. That was exactly the G word to me. Never once. He's not a church guy. Never seen him say a prayer in his life. But that's what he said. And I was like, wow. Like
He was thinking that you're such a lost cause.
like maybe
There needs to be
God can
otherworldly
help
shit happen here to help you.
you. Yeah, you're beyond human. You're beyond human help. And at that point, I was. And another funny thing happens early on in this succession. So I say a prayer. I'm firmly submitted to this deal. The prayer I said, retrospectively, kind of sounds a lot like the third step prayer that I didn't know at the time. But like,
Interesting.
you know, if I go back line for line for what I remember I said and then put it against page 63 in a certain blue book that I read sometimes, they don't line up too off.
There's
right?
like a divine experience happening here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I figured through this whole time, I figured there might be one dude from the AA side of things. I figured I had one normal buddy who would eventually figure out and care. His name's and he did. My buddy Murphy. But I figured there's one guy in recovery that would find out, and he would also care. And I knew that he would possibly like share his recovery with me. And he'd been a counselor of mine when I was a guest at Discovery Place. And I knew this guy might visit me. I was going to try to write him a letter, get him a note, get a number, but I couldn't figure out his number. I couldn't remember his number. And so the funniest thing happens is as in these events happen like back to back to back, pretty close together, if I remember. The guy's getting out of jail, and he's like, "Hey, who wants this alcoholic book?" And I go over and I swoop it up, and then I open the first page. I run back to my bed. I'm going to devour this book.
Yeah.
I open it up, the first page. Larkin L. 615-613 blank 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 blank. The number that I needed, the man, the guy, the buddy that I thought might care, that might help me. The man who became my sponsor in jail, his number was right where I needed. So now I can try to schedule a visit with this guy, right?
Yeah.
But before I could get my request out, I get a letter from him. "Hey man, I heard what happened to you.
Oh my God.
I don't care if you're down for 5 years or 20. You'll have my support and my friendship." And so we were able to schedule a visit. We began working steps that day.
Dude,
And,
that is insane.
It's insane. Like the if you do the math on like the likelihood of those events,
1 in a million.
yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I started, okay, big God, like
I'm listening now.
you got my
me.
full attention, man. Like I'm holding hands with you on this adventure. And so right now, like what my attorney's telling me, and my attorney is not only good, but he's a high school buddy. My attorney visits me late one night, and he's like, "Hey man, you got to fire me because this DA wants to kill you. He's saying if you don't take this 12 years, he's going to get you 20 at trial." And I'm like, "Man, no way." This is like on a Saturday night. Saturday, late night, it's past 10 o'clock. He's still out lawyering around, still dressed. So, dude, you got to fire me. This guy, this DA wants to hammer you. He wants to make an example out of you.
Mm-hmm.
You should fire me. And I was like, "Joey, no way." His name is Joey Fuson, greatest human being in the world, here in Nashville. I was like, "Joey, no way. You got to fire me. You can fire me, you walk away, that's cool, but I can't fire you. No way. I'm not going." And he's doing this like I owe him money, you know. And he allowed me to work up a debt, and then not knowing how long I was going to be gone, he took it on faith. But he did. He clocked in, man, and he went to work. And the first deal went from we go to the first court date, and it's 8 years at 30%. So we've already come down from the 12 to 20. 8 years at 30. So it goes 12 to 20, and we say no, thank you, and you get 2 more, kind of negotiation dates, and they're 3-4 weeks apart. And so we come back, and it's 8 years at 30. Joey says, no, thanks. I mean, to me, 8 years at 30 means my life. To me, that sounds like my life's over. So we go back the next time, and we've got a new DA. We don't have this guy who wants to kill me anymore. Now we've got a lady that he's actually has a working relationship with, and she settled on 1 year day for day, and the rest on super secret probation. Meaning, if I screwed up at all during the probation period, then I actually had to serve 12 years, day for day. And I told him, like, hey man, like you give me as much paper as you want. If I can't stay sober, I'm better off dead anyway.
Right.
And he was like, man, that's really bad legal advice. Are you sure? And I said, yes. Give me whatever paper they want. I'll do it. And that was about halfway down. The plea deal that I set for a year was about halfway in. So
you already had halfway done at that.
I had sat there for like 6 months almost, from late April to that was October at some point. And so that part felt like a win, right? Like, I've already done half of what they want from me.
Totally. Do another 6 months.
I will get another shot at life. I may not, like, in my sweetest dreams at that point were like, maybe I can work at Wendy's during the morning and McDonald's at night. Maybe I can get a scooter. Nobody's going to rent me anything. Like, maybe I can live in a halfway house for a while, and then if everything goes right, maybe I can get a scooter and a garage apartment, and I'll be, 35, 36. Because all of the time leading up to that, I'm thinking, like, this guy could really give me 20.
Right.
And at that time, I'm 32, and I'm counting, like, the birthdays, the Christmases, my mom's hair going from gray to white, and maybe she doesn't live that long. My nephew, who's, I love so much, my nieces going from being children to full-blown adults.
And you're not seeing a bright future for yourself.
No. So, like, I'm looking at the monotony of these days locked up and the bologna sandwich, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was just riding home from court that day. It happened to be a beautiful day, late October. You're in a bus with a bunch of other people who've had either great days at court or bad days at court. And it was 80 degrees. We're driving from downtown Nashville out to the Harding Place jail. For some reason, it was just like, it was the most peaceful. It was the most peaceful. I'd be like, okay, you're going to get another shot at life. And just as a bonus, you get to ride with the windows down and smell the air, smell freedom, and know that, hey, you don't have much of a chance, but you got a chance.
Yeah.
And it's a God thing, man. I got a chance.
It's beautiful. Did you do any form of treatment after jail?
I'd actually I'd been to treatment several times before I went to jail. Before I went to jail that time. Mm-hmm. And I did enjoy a little bit of the freedoms that being in treatment had given me. But I begged my way into the treatment pod in jail before I was sentenced, and I loved it there. I was rookie of the year. I lapped up. I took notes. I was grateful, and I guess it was kind of a cruel twist, but needed for me. One of the men who there were several men who would bring recovery meetings into that pod as part of their, out of their outreach. Mm-hmm. One of them I used to go to the 12 o'clock at O'Brien Street with, and he looked at me, he was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Man, I'm here for a minute,
Yeah.
And like, I used to go to meetings and then go to lunch with him, down the street. And now here he was, he'd come in every Tuesday.
That's wild.
And it was just like, dude, he did the program. I left the program, and here I sit. Like,
yeah.
That's what happens.
It's you saw exactly.
Like, I could have done what he did.
Yeah.
I could have done exactly what he did and been free.
Well, I mean, like, so that question, I was just curious as to what a little bit happened after you got out, but it sounds like you were in some form of treatment like the treatment pod in jail. So you're doing months of
Yeah,
recovery.
I got to do it, and it's funny the dovetail of like it was a 45-day program, and the dovetail of my sentencing date. So, I got to they I was approaching the finish date of the program where I was going to have to move to another area of the jail, and I got sentenced. They allowed me to finish the last 2 or 3 days of the deal, and then they sent me across the street to prison to finish my time.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you got out, how long did it take you to start working in treatment, you think?
So I had a really bad experience with a sober living company as soon as I got out of jail. I got robbed pretty much. This guy's still in business today.
I'm sorry.
But I made a deal with like the moon and the stars. Like, I'm going to put this dude out of business. And my sponsor's wife at the time had an existing women's sober living business called Connections. And so I became a student of hers. Like, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I start a business? How do I build the guidelines? And she was like, hey, if you'll just be sober, if you'll work on yourself for another year, I'll help you. I'll help you open one. Or I'll open one and I'll open a men's program and you can have a job there. I was like, okay. So she gave me the rules. I was to work on myself exclusively for a year. I was to remain single. I was to learn how to be friends with women. I was to work no more than 45 to 50 hours. Like, there was no, like, you can't rebuild life overnight.
Right.
Her name's Katie. She was a therapist with her own recovery. So like she had the whole view, you know? And so without knowing it, I was getting sponsored by a really good dude in AA, but his wife was informing the rest of my life, you know?
It's really amazing.
It's amazing. And fortunately for me, like, I had gotten really chubby while I was locked up. And so that remaining single, like, that wasn't an issue for me because I had the self-confidence of, you know, dog shit on my shoe, you know? I mean, as soon as I got out, I had to go buy like 10-inch bigger pants, you know?
That's wild.
Yeah. And so that part wasn't an issue. So I got to, like, for real, I got lucky and got a great job working for a property management company. After bouncing around a couple crappy sober livings, but as it happened, I landed right up the street from this multi-use, like, kind of retail, some living, some retail, some restaurant space, and it called Edgeville Village. And I landed in an Oxford house right up the street. And shortly after working for this property, they had a caretaker who had also lived close by. He retired, so they were like, "Hey, Hobbs, do you want to live in one of these lofts and be the caretaker?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool." You know, I owned nothing, right?
And you had a free place to live.
And I had a free place to live, so I've got like $200 to my name, and I need a bed, right? And so I go, like, where am I going to find a bed? So I'm trying to walk to find a bed hopefully at a garage sale. So I go out my first Saturday, and I'm totally cool sleeping on a bedroll. Like, a bed sounds like a luxury to me, you know, at this point. But I have my cash, and I'm ready to buy a bed. And I found the garage sale, but then they've got this basketball goal. And it's about the same money. And I chose the basketball goal. So instead of buying a bed, I bought a basketball goal and I hung it from the rafters. And
At the Oxford house?
No, this is in my new loft apartment that I was just given. So my end of the deal was I had to turn all the fire alarms. They had a real shaky electrical system in this building, in this set of buildings. So whenever the alarm went off, or a sprinkler went off or whatever, like, I was the guy. Okay. I was to keep management and ownership out of the building, you know, after hours. And I earned my money. Like, I got out of bed a lot. But that was the first thing I did. Instead of buying a bed, I bought a basketball hoop. And
to work on your fitness?
No, I've always been a basketball junkie. and
too.
it just felt like the thing to do. And
who was your key player growing up that you worshipped?
Mike.
Me too.
Yeah.
I got a chance to see Jordan play a couple times in my youth, because I grew up in Milwaukee and I was a huge Bucks fan.
Okay.
So Chicago would come up and play occasionally. My dad would take me.
Yeah.
It was fucking insane, dude.
Mike to me is, I mean, he's hands down the most dominant, prodigious, I mean, he's the guy.
He's the quintessential, all around, I think, legendary athlete to ever have walked this earth. To me,
I agree.
Seriously,
I agree, and I don't think there's any other team sport. There's no other team sport athlete that comes close to his dominance.
I agree. I was curious about that, since you said you're a basketball junkie. Let's shift gears just a little bit. How did 2010 you get introduced to recovery, and then you become a board certified interventionist.
Mm-hmm.
What made you make that, or what caused that jump to you helping families get out of chaos?
It was I can look back and go and connect the dots now, but at the time it was slow. So at 2.5-ish years sober, I began working in the recovery business, right? And running a men's kind of high standard, accountability driven, schedule driven.
Love it.
And very early on in that process, a prominent female interventionist needed somebody to look scary in a young men's intervention, like just be there as like the voice of, hey, let's just, a non-speaking role, just be there, be friendly, but make sure nothing goes crazy. And what I saw that day was a young man whose mother had died in the house, and he had been so sick on opiates that he was stealing her end of life comfort medications. And
that's an intense first intervention to be part of, yeah.
And fast forward a year, this kid hadn't left his room but to buy drugs, right? And so dad, two brothers, interventionist, and we approached this kid's room, and as we all get in there, this kid looks up from his video game and he broke, and he said, "Daddy, what took you so long?" And it just hit me in the heart, and I was like, man, I want to learn how to do this. Like the interventionist hadn't said a word other than introduced while we're there, And like, if I can keep my lights on by a penny, this is all I ever want to do with my life again, is see this moment. Now, when I made that statement, I didn't know what all went into that, and all the lead up work and all the marketing and all the behind the scenes, that make that day possible. But I took that experience and I took it to my good friend Jamie Vance, who passed away 6-8 months ago. I take my idea, and he was like, yeah, you should. You absolutely should. So what's stopping you? And I was like, well, I don't know this, and I don't know this, and I don't know this. And he just said, burn the boats. And I was like, burn the boats? And I didn't know the story about Cortez and all that. But he explained it to me, and I was like, okay, we're burning the boats. We're going to burn the boats.
Yeah.
And so he set me out on a path. He told me what to read, who to train with, set me up with a mentorship with a local interventionist who I studied under for a good bit, and set off on my own.
That's absolutely incredible, and it's also good to hear Jamie Vance's name again.
My dude.
It's the second time he's been brought up on our podcast. We're early in the recorded episodes, and Tyler from Brooks Healing Center.
Yeah.
Brooks basically was started from Jamie Vance helping him along with it.
Yeah.
But God, what a great mentor to have.
Yeah, man.
So you've been chasing this feeling of that first intervention, of you being part of this amazing intervention happen. What do you think is the most difficult intervention that you've ever been a part of?
anytime I know that there's minor, like small children being affected by addiction, that hits home for me. That's tough. And unfortunately, we see quite a bit of that.
And then you were saying before we started recording that you got involved in doing the show Intervention. How did that come about, and how was that experience overall, and how many episodes do you think that you got to sit in on?
You know, the call that I got, you know, when I got board certified and did all that, I thought, man, and I'd seen the show Intervention. Thought, man, that'd be cool one day. Like, I don't know if I'm brave enough to make that a goal.
Yeah.
But what a cool experience that would be.
It was in the back of your mind.
To be on like the show that does the thing that you claim to do for a living. And then one day, my phone rings, and I'm actually about to return. I was in Austin, Texas. I was returning a rental car, and I picked up it was a 303. It was an LA number, and his name was Jay. He's like, hey, my name is Jay Octavius. I work for Blue Sky Productions, Blue Sky Casting. Your name's been forwarded to us to interview for the show Intervention. Are you interested? And I'm like I'm getting scammed here. Like who's
fucking with me?
Of course I want to, man. And I'm trying to play cool. I'm like, well, yeah, I think I could be. I try whatever. And so we set a Zoom up, and I'm on with the producer Amira, who I'm still cool with. She's awesome. And so we're like 2 hours deep on an hour long Zoom. What was scheduled to be an hour long Zoom. And I was like, man, I think this is going really good, you know? And I just moved, and I had for some reason this wasp had like started stalking me. He'd been in my house for like 3 days. I couldn't whack him. And so Amira's asking me, like, she's like, all right, final question. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. There's a wasp that keeps like looking like he wants to attack me. And so she asked the question, and then I can see in my periphery, I get dive bombed, and I just like Karate Kid smacked this wasp and like kept my answer coming. And she was like, did you just? And I was like, yeah, I just did that. And she was like, yeah, I think we're good here. And so I had a good feeling that I made the cut. But then being on the show, the stories that we got to cover were, deep. They were heartbreaking. And I'll tell you, like, you know a lot about the treatment industry at this point. Mm-hmm. I'll say this about, I was, you don't know what to expect because it's a television show. I'd never done a bit of television. Well, what I found were the production assistants that do the homework around getting the families and the addicts ready. They are so much more professional admission people than the admissions people that work in our field. And they care more than the people that actually work in our field.
That makes total sense to me.
I was blown away. I was blown away.
Good to know. Yeah. That's a detail I've always been curious about. Every intervention episode, whether if it's just a single person or if it's a double episode where they keep going back and forth to guests, mm-hmm. I've never watched an episode where I'm like, this isn't heartfelt and amazing and moving.
Yeah, and I still don't know like how they don't know, but like none of the episodes that I was involved in the families certainly, because they have to agree,
right,
you know. Right. But at no point, like, do these guys ever figure it out?
It's amazing to me. I asked Todd Mulligan on our podcast if there was any inclination. He said no, not until we were doing the full-blown intervention. I had no idea.
Right.
So they must do an insanely amazing job.
They do.
Just to step off of that, thank you for sharing.
Sure.
It's really amazing that you were involved in that. It's a beautiful thing.
It was a really, really cool experience.
Speaking more to interventions, just in general, mm-hmm. So you're helping these families in these desperate moments. What do you think is the biggest misconception about a family coming to you for an intervention about their loved one having addiction issues?
I think the biggest misconception is the fear around, like, the fear around lots of moms and dads or spouses will have, like, I just don't want him to feel betrayed. I don't want her to feel like I hear betrayed or ambushed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like I'm duping them right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I think it's the most loving and kind thing to do, to firmly and with love and kindness confront addiction. If I really love you, I'll get uncomfortable with you, right? I will no longer placate your bullshit. I love you enough to stop placating your bullshit. You know, I'm not going to sit here and act anymore like it's okay that I know you're killing yourself a little bit every day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call a spade a spade. Let's talk about it. And it's like that. A lot of parents have that. It's like a self-preservation fear. Like, well, it'll get better. You know, it's a phase. Mm-hmm. And you and me know that alcoholism doesn't get better. We never go up.
Yeah.
Very rarely, you know, and certainly people with a lot of letters behind their name would argue with me that addiction, lives on a spectrum and certain entry points and exit points. And that's all true.
At this point, there's been a lot of research.
There's a lot of research, but there is, once you are in full blown addiction, you've got to, I like to say, bring rock bottom to their feet.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because we know now with the fentanyl epidemic, if we allow someone to, they got to hit rock bottom before they're going to accept help. Well, why don't we just meet them at the funeral home, write them off, and then meet them at the funeral home.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Where do you want to have this funeral? That's where we're going from here.
Yeah. Pick the flowers.
Yeah.
You know, and my thing is like, hey, like, why don't we try to influence them to become ready? Because in one sense, they're not going to change until they're ready. Yes, that's absolutely true. So let's influence them to become ready. Let's get uncomfortable instead of sitting here going, like, well, I guess I'll just watch.
I love everything that you just said there.
Like, in the very same way that how old your little one was 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
If you're unloading the dishwasher, you turn your back for a minute, and your 2.5-year-old's running around with a butcher knife, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna grab that knife out of her hand.
Right. You're gonna defend.
I'm gonna yell.
You're gonna defend a defenseless person.
Right.
And I think that's emotionally what we have to understand around a lot of drug addicts, most alcoholics. To step in, we are truly defending a defenseless person. They've lost the power of choice.
Right, right.
You know, and
I couldn't agree more. That's a great take.
And that butcher knife, that was actually my son. As soon as he learned to walk, I'm unloading the dishwasher. I look over and he's got the big blue ceramic butcher knife, and it was the most athletic thing that I've probably ever done to get. So my immediate thought was, if I yell, he might get scared and fall.
Right, right.
If I try to go all the way over the open dishwasher door, I might tumble into him. So I did like a choo-choo, quick. And then do I grab his hand or do I grab the knife? But that's what we're doing when we step into an addict's timeline. You know, I mean, we don't want to play chicken with a person who doesn't value their own life.
Yeah.
So
I've never thought about that kind of metaphor with it. It's exactly what it is.
Right? Because they're truly defenseless.
Totally.
You know?
And that knife could be a loaded gun, whatever.
You know? It's someone who's deep into meth, deep into fentanyl, at this point, fentanyl's everywhere. Deep into drugs of abuse. A lot of times there's family members there's usually one in each family member who doesn't quite want to buy into the disease model. Like, they just made some shitty choices and they can unshitty those choices.
Right.
Or they can unmake those choices and make better ones. And
it's not that easy.
If it was that easy, there wouldn't be 18,000 treatment centers in the country. You know?
Right. There wouldn't be a show Intervention.
There wouldn't be a show. Yeah, there wouldn't be a show called Intervention. Dudes like me wouldn't exist. Podcasts like yours wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
You know,
I'd be out of a job.
Right. Rooms of 12-step recovery rooms wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Just To add on to, because we're talking about doing interventions, and I know that you've helped a lot of young men in your day since starting this. Where do you think that the system has failed them?
Man, the treatment system.
Yeah.
I think that the treatment system at large, I think that standards of care, I think are being improved due to some research that's being done right now. But I think legit standard of care has got it. We are well below the floor of where standard of care should start.
Mm-hmm.
Neuropsych testing, a lot more clinical up front than behind. You've got to have collaboration between psychiatric, medical, tech. Lots of new tech coming in to really help.
The world is changing.
The world's changing, and treatment modality's got to change.
Change with those changes.
Yeah, I mean, all the interdisciplinary pieces of a treatment team have got to communicate about a patient daily, or I think it's shit treatment.
Right.
And that happens in a handful of places across the country.
Which brings me to my next question too. So you're a big proponent of the full continuum of care,
Mm-hmm.
down from detox, going to RTC, going to PHP, IOP, sober
Mm-hmm.
living. Why do you think that's so important?
I think it's important. Well, I thought it was so important that I built one,
Yeah, exactly.
So I think continuity of care, length of time and observed behavior over time is the biggest predictor of someone's success.
Mm-hmm.
Long-term support, long-term accountability, especially when we can keep like one set of records and one like when we talk about continuum of care, like the same set of professionals who have passed on, like even as roles change and levels of care increase or decrease, we've got one story to work with, And so, because, patient reporting is flimsy at best,
Agreed.
I don't know how many times admissions you did for yourself at treatment. I did 5, I think, and every 5, each one of those admissions, I sounded like a complete different person. It was just my story that day,
Right.
Because we're shithouse crazy when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to take a person and surround them with continuity through 9 months to a year, I think, just obviously goes a long way to improve their success rate.
I agree. And, if you look at if somebody does, let's say, 7 days in detox, they get itchy and they want an AMA.
Yeah.
Without doing any residential, doing group. Because let's face it, if you're in a treatment center, you're hardcore detoxing, you're not really going to group. You're not seeing your therapist at that point. You're just trying to feel better.
Just trying to survive.
Yeah. So that 7 days, it's a wash of you trying to feel better.
Yeah.
And then if you do residential, it's like you're doing group, you're meeting with your therapist, you're talking with other people in your community, you're hanging out with them, you're getting to know their story. It's like linking up with parts of your life, which it's really important to be a part of that community. Mm-hmm. And then if they were to go home right after residential, that could be very dangerous because then they're just at a treatment center for 21 to 30 days, somewhere around there. Right. And then if they're just going straight home, back to everything that they knew and everything that they were doing, really dangerous.
Extremely dangerous, man. And I work, our families that we bring on for intervention, we typically onboard for chunks of 90 days. So not to say that every patient goes to treatment and stays for 90 days, but if I get my way about it, they're in services for a lot longer than 90 days. I look at like the model that put together that pilots and docs and attorneys use for licensure. Mm-hmm. Why do they have such great success rates? It's because they have they got a big carrot at the end of the road, but they got long-term supports and accountability to get there.
Exactly.
And so the framework that we operate with is very similar. we try to help our families imagine a life in recovery where we're not going to the ER for a broken leg that's going to be fixed in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. We've got to give everybody a new understanding of what addiction truly is and how do we support recovery.
Right.
In our own lanes.
What well, you know, we're speaking about treatment centers now. We're speaking about families. What's the uncomfortable truth that families, treatment centers, people in recovery, that they are facing?
I think the most uncomfortable truth that most
they don't want to face. Sorry,
they don't want to face. I think from the treatment center side, is that most treatment centers have data, have post data for marketing purposes. That's just a flat out lie, like success rates.
That's a very good point. I've heard people from other treatment centers, you know, I have an 81% success
Yeah.
rate. It's like,
You're full of shit too.
yeah, it's like why is your alumni program like
Yeah.
booming?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think there's a lot of uncomfortable truths about the treatment industry, and one of those is that there are just some bad actors in our space.
Mm-hmm. Why not
You
be
know?
honest about their success rate and try to improve that?
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Yeah.
I think you know the worst of the worst are like the tragic, you know, patient brokering type operations that got real popular in Florida and California.
Which has gotten a bit better these days.
Yeah, I think Florida's almost the safest place to go now because they've kicked so many doors in.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah.
But I still get leery about Florida. I actually just extracted a young man that got marketed into a place in Southern California.
Really? So it's still happening there.
It's still happening.
Okay.
Yeah, Ukrainian mob flew this kid. The kid had gotten kicked out of a treatment center. He's in a motel room, probably afraid of what mom and dad were going to do. So he gets on Google, you know, gets Google marketed into, calls the admission line, gives him his insurance thing. Next thing you know, he's got a little bit of cash in his way. He's got a flight hooked up, and you know, they looked at his insurance policy and said, "This kid's a gold mine. We'll take him." Send a companion to
It's
go get him.
heartbreaking that stuff's still going
Yeah.
on. This is a life. This is a human life we're talking about here. It's no different to me than sex trafficking.
It's a human life being misdirected. Yeah,
Um,
and that's a lot of I really, you know, my path is my path, and the amount of time and the depth that I had to struggle, I'm ultimately at this point I'm at peace with, and I'm grateful for, because it took all of that stuff to get me to be able to just be here and have this day
right.
that we're having today. Like without all of that, I'm not here. I do wish somebody could have like said, "Scene," you know, and tapped my parents on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you guys can just relax. He's got a lot of stuff to learn, and he's going to live through it. So just go on about your business, and just, you know, watch the Braves game and just chill out." You know, but I do wish that someone had been able there. You know, this is all pre-internet really, when they were searching for treatment for me. So there was no real way to suss out, you know, what's needed for a guy like me.
Right.
You know?
And to speaking to that, I want to marry my not my last question, but my next question to this. So you've mentioned your son, your father to a son, and on the topic that we're talking about right now, how does being a father to a kid change your perspective in dealing with these young men that you're giving interventions for and these families that you're helping?
Oh, man, you know, I it's like having. You ever work with a couple monitors at once? You know, at your desk.
Oh yeah.
It's like that almost, right? So like in part of my monitor, I've got my professional lens going, even when I'm watching my kid play basketball or get frustrated, or some test of his resiliency and how he's going to respond, you know. And when I am with a family and I notice, you know, friction in the dynamics, I ask for a lot of collateral before we start an intervention, because it can tell me so much about like the family dynamics and mom. I want to know about how mom and dad grew up, because that pretty much tells me the story about how, or can help me understand why XYZ may be true for the way their young person
Very true.
has experienced life and why we're here, you know, just by them giving me the history. Like, nobody's got to be the bad guy, but I like to understand family of origin for the main players.
Yeah, I'm sure there's an element in there too where you're helping this family with their son, and you're almost putting yourself in your shoes with your son, and you want to do the best possible job that you can for this outcome for this young man.
Yeah.
Because you're, you know, in the back of your mind, you're like, I also have a son.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, it's 50-50, man. At some point, I might have to hire a me, because I will be, my heart will be too close. You know, if my son should struggle, I'm going to go hire the best guy I can. Hey, tell me how to be dad. Like, I don't know shit. I just want to love my kid. You make all the calls. I would just want to, if my son has an issue, I would want to be a great client to whomever I hire.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm outcome driven, man. Like, I don't care, you know, there's numbers out there that say 90% of interventions result in a treatment entry. That might be true. But are we delivering a hostage to treatment, or are we delivering a human being whose family now has a new framework of how to deal with them?
Well said.
And
you're also
that's my
helping
job.
the family, and not just the person you're doing an intervention on, but you're also helping all these other key players.
And the family doesn't call me because they want to understand themselves better. The family calls me because Jimmy's in the other room, nodded out after Thanksgiving. Right. They have no idea that their family dynamic has influenced him in any way. He is a symptom of a sick family system, more than likely.
Yeah.
Right.
And what makes...
And I lose customers. I'm a bad salesman, man. I lose clients before they're clients because I typically explain, you know, hey, this is what my process
has to go
looks
down.
like.
Yeah.
I explain my process.
And it's good to have your boundaries for what works for you and what's going to work best for this young man and their family.
Right.
You're the professional here.
Right.
Yeah.
I was talking to a real estate person the other day, and we're talking about we have a mutual friend who's an attorney who's told us both. We were kind of giggling about it. The attorney said sometimes the best cases are the ones you don't take. And so this woman I'm talking to, she's a real estate agent, and she's like, you know, I tell prospects all the time, if you want to overprice your house, I'm not your girl. Like, if you want to sit on the market for 6 months, I'm not your girl.
If you want to sell this house,
here's what you need to do. And from me, I'm very upfront with my families, and I say, you know, given what you've told me, here's what I can do for you, and here's what I'm going to need you to do to make that possible. So you got to ask yourself, can you take my advice? You know, and if so, now we have something to work with. You know,
absolutely. What do you think makes an effective interventionist, and not just somebody that knows the process of an intervention?
I think an effective interventionist doesn't necessarily have to have a personal recovery, though I can't name one who doesn't.
Right.
I think to be the most effective, you've got to own an addicted brain. You've got to have some training. You've got to have some legit experience working under someone else. And I just mean in the room, like to be effective with a drug addict and a family that's struggling. To be effective in the room, I think those are the minimums, right? And I think it gets nuanced from there. You know, how many, we can always plan for a beautiful intervention where 6 family members arrive on time. We march through the front door. We tell Timmy, hey, we're really concerned for you. By the way, my name is Darren. I'm talking with your family. I don't know you, but your family loves you, and we're here to read you some letters.
And Timmy says, I'll go to treatment.
And Timmy's like, great, I already packed a bag. It's right over here, right? Like 1 in a million, right?
Right.
It'd be awesome if it worked that way. But there's no school. There's no school for when the person of concern doesn't want to show up or storms out of the room or threatens to kill themselves or is in psychosis or, makes a threat, gets violent, whatever. Like there's so many curveballs that could happen, you can't count them.
So somebody has to know how to roll with the punches.
You gotta
and have great intuition.
Yeah, and I would I would think that, you've got to have a plan, but you can't be so married to that plan that you can't be fluid, And I tell my families all the time, like, hey, you're choosing to trust a complete stranger with the life of someone you love, and I'm going to give you my very, very best. I'm going to prepare you for the way I think this is going to unfold, and I could be totally off. Like we might have a totally different situation, but I promise you, I'm ready.
Man, I mean, I know what goes into doing an intervention, but you getting into the not even just the meat and potatoes, but the fat of it, there's just so much that could go wrong. There's so much that can go right.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much that can go right.
Yeah.
And, they're fentanyl and meth, man. Meth more so than fentanyl. But you've really got to get somebody who's really sick on meth to be effective on the first attempt with somebody in meth. You'd really want them to be fresh off, like up for 5-6 days, however long they jam, and then let them sleep and then catch them soft. Yeah, and that's really hard to do. So a lot of times you just know going in day one, man, like I'm dealing with a person who's in meth psychosis. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be paranoid. They're going to be sure that that whatever they've already made their mind up. You know what I mean? Like they're impenetrable. But I think it's part of like being professionally responsible is painting a legitimate expectation picture for the client family. Like, hey, here's what I expect. Given everything you've told me and what we know about his or her drug use, here's a reasonable outcome for today.
On average, how long do you think that you're meeting with a family to come up with this plan and to tell them that A, B, C, or actually A to Z can go wrong or different?
Yeah. Prep day is typically 3 to 6 hours, depending on the number of people in the group and how many people want to play the what if game. Yeah. And there are some dynamics that just kind of demand a little bit more attention, like, when there's kids in the house, we got that's its own section. What preparations have we made? Are there legal pieces that need to be moved and put in place beforehand? If we got
another thing.
We got a mom and a dad that are both using. What pieces do we have in place to take care of these kids?
Man, that's a whole nother thing I didn't think of. Matt, what if this legal piece is this guy can't leave the state?
Right.
And you need to go somewhere else with him. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of variables I totally did not think of.
Yeah, the variables, honestly, the variables are kind of what keeps it. I love fixing stuff. I really like fixing stuff between 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. I don't always get like the other night we had a long day. I think Destiny told you about.
Yeah, sounded
and
really long.
It took me 20 minutes after I woke up. It took me 20 minutes to read the scroll of the text thread of all the drama that had happened while in the 3 hours that I was asleep.
My gosh, man.
But yeah, man, I wouldn't choose to do anything else with my time.
It sounds like you're right where you need to be right now.
Yeah, it is very enjoyable work, and I'm grateful. It's like it's an honor to be chosen to be pulled into like that scary corner of a family's life, Like they got to trust somebody, and they're looking around and go, well, I guess it's you. We trust you. We got no other choice.
I'm really glad
you either
you're
give
doing
them your
what you're
best.
doing.
You either give them your best, or you give them your best.
Yeah. I'm just so glad that you're doing what you're doing with the firm.
Well, thank you.
And I hope our listeners out there, any families, friends, loved ones that are struggling, if they need to get to you, I know it's the Darren Hobbs on Instagram.
Yep, the Darren Hobbs on Instagram and TikTok. Easy to get.
Yeah, so please reach out to Darren. And I don't want this to end at all, because I could talk to you for like another 3 hours. But
have we already clocked out?
It's over an hour, so I got one last question for you.
Man, that flew.
I know. The time is such a non-existent thing in this room.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate for everything that you've shared, and you've given such good insight, and you're an inspiration, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So you've been working in treatment for 14 years. You've been sober since 2010. If you could redesign the addiction treatment system from scratch, what would you change first, do you think?
Everything. I'd change everything.
Yeah, and why?
I think that the current treatment model is based on what insurance will pay for. I would love to get a room full of the brightest minds, the brightest addiction minds. Let's get medical, let's get clinical, let's get addiction specialists. Let's get a room full of people together.
Interventionists.
Let's case management. Let's get the brightest of the brightest in the room and go, hey, forget the model that we've got. Let's build perfect. And then let's do that instead.
That would be fun to go through at some point and be like, what could we do to make all of this better and more effective?
And how do we build out enough individuality? Because right now we got, hey, if you go to this place, you get treated this way. Right. So how do we suss out the different needs that each individual requires?
Yeah. So if you got 36 beds, those 36 people are pretty much
They're going to be
with
treated
the same program.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that with the research being done right now, led by the Reach United guys, I think they're going to have enough data to come forward and go, hey, wait, we're missing the boat, A, B, C, D, E. Like, we need to be able to, given this person's markers, this is how we should treat them.
Yeah, and this is this individual treatment plan, and they're going to do all of that themselves, and then the next person is going to have a different one tailored for them.
Right. I think
makes sense.
I think that this next wave of improvements in treatment will allow for much more individualized care and a lot more effective outcomes and a lot less pain.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm excited to you're talking about technology too before. I'm excited to see the technology change with the treatment world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see where everything goes in the next 5-10 years. Because I don't see myself not working in treatment in 5 to 10 years. So I'm really excited, and we're going to be in this together.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of wearable tech coming that will be available and affordable that can really inform how someone's doing. Where I don't get to say, hey, how you doing today? How you doing today, John? You go, I'm fine. And since we're connected on your wristband, I go, really, you're fine? Because it looks like you're fucked, right? Like, the smile's great, man, but tell me what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, wearables like that are on the way. And
I can't wait for that.
I think we're within a couple years of some real cutting edge stuff being available to everybody.
I'm stoked about it. Yeah. And I like the way treatment is going right now. If you just look at our clinic, for instance, we do virtual Suboxone, and that wasn't a thing, pre-2019.
Right.
We were doing this before COVID, but I'm excited that we can offer this to somebody in Tennessee, Virginia, Texas that doesn't have a car, that can't drive an hour and a half to their Suboxone clinic and wait and then drive all the way home. Working moms, working dads, people in school, whatever it may be, we're all trying to break down all these barriers that people have to treatment. And it's an honor to be in this world with you, and it's an honor to be in this room with you today.
Likewise, man. It's been a pleasure. I can't believe we've just done an hour and 13 minutes.
Isn't that wild?
Crazy.
Dude, I just can't thank you enough. And let's check back in 9 months to a year. Let's do another episode and catch up where we are in life and what's going on and how treatment world has changed.
Dude, let's do that. A year from now, let's see what's different in treatment.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Dude, much love to you, brother, and thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Be sure to check out the Firm Nashville, the Darren Hobbs. Suss him out, and please check out other episodes of Breaking Down Addiction by NAS. Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever it may be, and you can always message us if you have any questions. And if you have a loved one that is experiencing mental health or substance use disorder and they have issues, please reach out to us. We can help and give you the best guidance possible moving forward. Thank you. Thanks, Darren. Appreciate you. Much love, brother.
Much love, man. Thank you.